Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to Beyond COVID-19, Growing Future of Agri-tech, Food and Halal Industries, brought to you by InvestPenang in collaboration with Penang State EXCO Office for Trade Industry and Entrepreneur Development, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, and Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. Thank you so much for investing your time with us today. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Yen from InvestPenang, and I'll be your MC for today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, this virtual session aims to provide a platform for business leaders, professionals, and consultants in the agriculture, food, and halal industries to get updates on the current happenings, trends, latest incentive and initiatives in the agriculture, food, and halal industry. To explore how e-commerce can create opportunities for Malaysian businesses to expand internationally, and also to discover the challenges and opportunities post-COVID-19 and how innovation and technology have revolutionized agriculture, food, and halal industries. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our distinguished speakers and panelists. First, we have YB Dato Haji Abdul Halim Hussain, State EXCO for Trade, Industry, and Entrepreneur Development. Dato Abdul Halim also sits as a member of Board of Director for several state-owned companies that include Penang Development Corporation, Invest in Penang Berhad, Digital Penang Corporation, and presently the Chairman of Penang Halal International. Next, we have Dato Sri Lika Choon, Special Investment Advisor to Chief Minister of Penang. He is currently a board member of various state government-linked companies and corporations, as well as private companies. As a director of Invest in Penang Berhad, Penang Development Corporation, and Penang Hill Corporation, Dato Sri Lee is actively involved in deciding the policy direction of these government-linked corporations for the state of Penang since 2008. After that, we have Mr. Ahmad Hafiz Abdul Aziz, Financial Sector Specialist of World Bank Group Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Finance Hub in Malaysia. Mr. Abdul Aziz brings with him 15 years of relevant experiences in financial sector development, particularly in the area of Islamic capital markets, Islamic social finance, green and sustainable finance, and financial inclusion. Next, we have Ms. Irrnanie Muhammad Aripin, Deputy Director of Food Technology and Resource-Based Industry Divisions of MIDA. Ms. Irrnanie has 14 years of working experience with MIDA and held numerous posts previously in Domestic Investment Promotion Division, Tariff Division, and Business Services and Supply Chain Innovation Division. She was responsible in evaluation of incentive and promoting the specific industry. After that, we have Mr. Jayaraman Subramanian, Manager of E-Commerce Department, Digital Adoption Ecosystem Division of MDEC. Mr. Jaya is managing cross-border e-commerce to various countries, undertakes onboarding campaign to onboard suitable Malaysian businesses to cross-border via e-commerce. Next, we have Ms. Smita Kuriakosi, Senior Economist in the Finance, Competitiveness and Innovation Global Practice in the World Bank. She is currently based in the Malaysia Inclusive Growth and Sustainable Finance Hub, where she leads the work program on private sector development, innovation, and entrepreneurship. After that, we have Mr. China Babu Muba, Head of R&D SEA of Enza Zaden. Mr. China has 20 years of experience in the seed industry in R&D. Professionally a plant breeder and passionate to breed unique variety and implementation of high-end technology. Mr. Simon Shuresh, founder of Halal Street. Mr. Simon migrated to the UK in 2007 and in 2019 founded his third and largest to-date e-commerce startup, halalstreet.co.uk, the UK's largest online Malaysian store, which was more recently followed by his newest venture, allmalaysia.com, whose main objective is to introduce Malaysian food and culture to the UK market. After that, we have Ms. Saw Kylie, Corporate Affairs of Golden Fresh. Ms. Kylie has been with Golden Fresh since 2014. Prior to her current role, she was involved in the different aspects of the company's operations, starting with procurement and then in sales and marketing, namely looking over Australia and North America. Last but not least, we have Mr. Vincent Ong, co-founder and current operation manager of Vitrox Agri-tech Sundaram Berhad, which is a new agri-tech company established by Vitrox Corporations in the year of 2020. The agricultural technology is aiming to revolutionize the agriculture industry in Malaysia by innovating and providing advanced agricultural tools and machines to the local farmers. Now, to start off this session, I would like to invite Dato Sri Lee Choon, Special Investment Advisor to the Chief Minister of Penang, for his welcoming remarks. Please welcome.
Thank you, Yan. Yang Berhormat Dato Haji Abdul Halim, Hussain, the State EXCO for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurial Development, Dato Lilian, the CEO of InvestPenang, distinguished guests and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be here this morning together with all of you for the webinar organized by InvestPenang and Penang State EXCO Office for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurial Development in partnership with MIDA and MDEC. The theme for this webinar is Beyond COVID-19, Growing the Future of Agri-tech, Food and Halal Industries. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all the distinguished speakers and a very warm welcome to all participants for joining this webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has impacted nearly every business in the world. Industries have been brought to a grinding halt, supply chain being disrupted due to border closures and lockdowns, while unemployment has spiked to unprecedented levels. In recent weeks, we have systematically, the country as a whole, has systematically opened up all economic sectors. Various initiatives have been undertaken by Penang State Government, including today's webinar, for companies to take stock of the current situation, be informed on the latest incentives and initiatives, as well as to formulate strategies to move forward. Penang's domestic direct investment, right? Unlike the foreign direct investment, we are concentrating in the domestic direct investment, climbed to a decade high of 3.6 billion ringgit Malaysia in 2020, representing 25% of the state's total direct investment. While in the first half of 2021, this year, local companies contributed 700 million ringgit Malaysia of direct investments, equivalent to 54% of total direct investment into Penang. Penang not only has a solid reputation as a preferred location for MNC, that is multinational corporations, but also known as an entrepreneurial state that provides a conducive environment for homegrown companies to scale and thrive. Over the past 5 years, we have witnessed tremendous growth of these large local companies serving global players across various industries. Although the manufacturing and service sectors are currently the main engines of growth for Penang, contributing about 95% of the state's GDP, the state government also plans to move the needle in the agriculture sector. In fact, agro-food development is mapped out as one of the strategic initiatives under Penang 2030 vision, which looks into modernizing and diversifying the agriculture sector to increase yield and produce higher value products. The state's agriculture will be focusing on sustainable production, urban and community farming, high-tech food production, and food preservation and packaging technologies. Under Penang 2030 vision, the state aims to create 100 new urban farming enterprises, increase agriculture productivity by 20%, and reduce average food miles by 20%. We aim to position Penang as a high-tech Green Valley, aquaculture industrial zone, as well as Halal Hub. Ladies and gentlemen, food and beverage industry in Penang is well diverse with a wide range of processed food products, including cocoa, coffee, and chocolate products, fisheries products, cereals and cereal products, processed fruits and vegetables, confectionery, food ingredients, herbs and spices, beverages, animal feed, and others. Penang also shows strength as an exporter in the marine food subsector. We have played an important role and become one of the main contributors to marine aquaculture products in Malaysia, of which a large part caters for the export market. Penang's aquaculture sector recorded the third highest production in Malaysia after Sabah and Perak, contributing more than 50% of Malaysia's revenue in the aquaculture sector. I believe Penang also has the potential to become a center for fisheries and aquaculture R&D to produce high value-added fish and fish-based products, considering that research facilities and world-renowned research institutes are located here. After potential subsector area to look into, another potential subsector area to look into is actually oyster cultivation, as about 86% of oysters supply in the local market are currently imported. Ladies and gentlemen, for many organizations and business leaders, 2022 is set to be a year of recovery. The pandemic has been a catalyst for transformational change, especially on digitalization initiatives. We have witnessed an accelerated adoption rate among businesses during the trying times, and it would be good to institutionalize the best practices that we have learned to face the endemic environment going forward. Lastly, I would like to urge the business community to look at the challenges you are facing as an opportunity to add value to your business. I also like to take this opportunity to thank all the distinguished speakers, Penang State EXCO Office for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurial Development, MIDA, and MDEC for their support as our strategic partners for this webinar. I wish all of you have a fruitful and productive deliberations and success in your undertakings. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato Sri. Next, it is now my pleasure and great honor to invite YB Dato Haji Abdul Halim Hussain, State EXCO for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurial Development, to deliver his keynote speech. Please welcome YB Dato.
Okay, thank you, Yan. And Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, very good morning. YB Yang Bahagia Dato Seri Choon, Special Advisor to the Chief Minister of Penang, Dato Lu Lilian, CEO of InvestPenang, distinguished guests and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Secretariat, the InvestPenang, and supported by MIDA, MDEC for joining us for this event. Now, we are going into the post-COVID-19 era. We went through a very tough time of almost 18 months of MCO, and everybody looking forward to an exciting year for 2022. And this topic of beyond COVID-19, post-COVID-19, and the topic given the future of Agri-tech, food and halal industries. So for this year, people look forward because COVID-19 has triggered the need for food safety, the need to secure supply, and it has triggered new opportunities. And globally, we know that during the era of COVID-19, everybody looking at the security, and in was only 9 billion. Now we look at 2020, our food import is 55.5 billion. And Penang, as we know, we don't have all these natural resources. We don't have, we have scarcity of land for agriculture. We are strong in E&E as electronic and electrical for the last 50 years. In fact, next year we'll be celebrating the 50 years of industrial revolution for Penang. That has been Penang's strength. But then looking at the topic on agri-tech, we would like to leverage our strong strength in E&E to leverage on agri-tech. And this is why this seminar will open up the avenues to focus on another new growth area, that is agri-tech. Now, other than that, we are looking at the strong growth in the logistics and warehousing. And as you know, Penang is just like Singapore, it's like UAE. As I mentioned just now, that we don't have the resources, national resources, but we are strong in efficiency. We have our airport and port, and our location, strategically location, could leverage on the natural resources provided by our neighbors. Just to inform everybody that Penang port, for example, 70% of our port transactions come from southern Thailand. And as you know, in the history of Penang port especially, in the 1400, 1500 years ago, it has been a trading port that transacts businesses from the North Sumatra, West Bengal, southern Thailand, and we would like to leverage on that. So agri-tech and efficiency of being a gateway for food resources, or all those what we could do is being a trading house, a gateway for trading house for us, for ASEAN, and to go to other parts of the world, to China, to Middle East, and also to Europe. And as we all know, according to HDC, another aspect is the halal opportunities. HDC mentioned that Malaysia's top 3 halal products, they are food and beverage, ingredients and cosmetic and personal care. Now, Penang, Malaysia has been known as the #1 in terms of Islamic banking. And then here we see that the halal product and food and beverages, ingredients and cosmetics and personal care is another Malaysia, being Malaysia top 3. We are good at that. And in addition to this, the agro-food industry continues to be an important component of the manufacturing sector in Malaysia. Major subsectors in the agro-food industry include the livestock, farming, fisheries, fruits and vegetables that have established significant linkages to the country's food processing subsector. Given the growing role of the technology and the increasing importance of its adoption, especially since the global pandemic struck, it is apt to prioritize the development of technology now and post-COVID-19. The Malaysian government's budget of 2022 announced recently has covered various initiatives focusing on technology, deployment and enhancement, aiming to boost competitiveness of local businesses, drive foreign direct investment, as well as expedite Malaysia's transformation into a high-income economy. The government will also continue to drive modernization in the agricultural sector in improving food security and safety by increasing productivity, generating higher incomes and attracting more young agropreneurs. And in addition to this, under budget 2022, also the Malaysian government also announced the allocation of RM45 million as a technological transformation incentive for SMEs as well as mid-stage companies in the manufacturing and services sectors in line with IR 4.0 or industry forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, being positioned as the Silicon Valley of the East, Penang pledges to play a catalytic role in the Industry 4.0 transformation. Digitalization and Industry 4.0 are no longer just an aspiration for Penang, but many initiatives that are related to digital technologies have been introduced and implemented by the state government through various state agencies. Will also be adopted by MNCs, large local companies and SMEs in Penang. Now we are on our journey to a new age of manufacturing where automation, smart and digitalization gradually become the key components in the production chain. Now, sorry. Now the disruptive technologies such as IoT, blockchain, AI, cloud-based technology, automation, and big data analytics have already started driving impacts across different industries and are set to drive food and agriculture industries to propel beyond the traditional model. And this is in line with the Penang 2030 vision to be a family-focused, green and smart state that inspires the nation. Now, just to inform, Penang will be participating in the Dubai EXCO. That will be January 16 to January 22nd. This will be the showcase of the best of Penang. And our delegation will involve, trade delegation will involve those in the agro sector, involved also the E&E sector, and also the best food of Penang. And this is something, this event, we hope that will bring investment and also will bring opportunities for traders Penang to market their products throughout the world for this world event, Dubai 2020. And we also will look at the Penang strengths to leverage, and Penang has been, for 50 years, we have been strong in IC design, R&D. So this is what we'll build on. So this seminar, I hope, will be put together to embrace the IR 4.0 and the possibilities to boost industrial capacity, increase productivity, and enhance efficiency. So last and not least, I would like to take this opportunity to thank MIDA and MDEC for joining us, and the state of Penang and InvestPenang are ready to work together for this good initiative, and we look forward for 2022 to accelerate Penang economy and Malaysia economy. Thank you very much. Again, have a productive event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. A reminder to all participants, if you would like to ask questions during the session, please type your questions in the Q&A feature on your Zoom screen. We will try to answer all questions during the Q&A session. Thank you. Now, moving right along, I would like to invite Mr. Ahmad Hafiz Abdul Aziz, Financial Sector Specialist of World Bank, to share with us on halal industry outlook and growth opportunities. Over to you, Mr. Hafiz.
Thank you to Mr. MC. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much to the organizer for having the World Bank to share on our thought related to the halal industry. So basically, my presentation will cover 4 key areas: the potential market for the halal industry, Islamic finance and halal industry, integrating ESG into halal business, and finally, leveraging a digital economy. The halal industry has penetrated the global market and has received overwhelming attention from a global supply chain producer. Most Muslims prefer certified halal foods and products as a religious obligation, while hygiene, quality, and safety are among the reasons for non-Muslim consumers The State of a Global Islamic Economy report estimates that Muslims spent more than 2 trillion in 2019 across the food, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, fashion, travel, and media or recreation sectors, all of which are impacted by Islamic faith-inspired ethical consumption needs. Here, spending reflects a 3.2% year-on-year growth from 2018. The food sector is an immense contribution to the halal industry, in line with this discussion today. We've estimated it can reach 1.3 trillion in 2024. The pandemic is forecasted to result in 8% decrease in global Muslim spending in 2020 for the Islamic economic sectors. All of these sectors, except travel, are expected to return to pre-pandemic spending level by the end of 2021. Muslim spending is forecasted to reach 2.4 trillion by 2024 at a 5-year cumulative annual growth rate of 3.1%. If you look at the number of in terms of the growing Muslim population, it presents an opportunity for growth in the demand for halal product. 57 OIC states contain approximately 1.8 billion people with a GDP of $7.2 trillion. For almost 1/4 of the global population of nearly 7.7 billion, presented a massive potential of halal market. It is estimated that Muslim population could reach 2.2 billion by 2030, or 26.4% of the world total projected 8.3 billion. According to the 2020 United Nations estimation, OIC member states are home of 338 million youth, which represent a share of 17.9% the total OIC population, where the world average was measured at 15.5%. It is projected that by 2030, the number of young people will further increase to reach close to 400 million. In 2020, the share of OIC member states in the world total youth population were recorded at 28%, and this number is projected to reach 30.7% by 2030. This millennial youth is the most globally connected generation. This digital native population is the future customer of halal and financial services, and this is a main change driver in industry. Due to the enormous potential of the halal industry, several countries have launched their national Islamic economic strategies to capitalize on the demand for halal and advanced trade. Indonesia also introduced their specific regulation on halal, including the Saudi Arabia, and then the partnership, for instance, like Indonesia and the Philippines, form a strategic partnership to expand the halal trade, as did Japan and Malaysia. The post-COVID-19, we look at the two key areas, especially the food security, where it become a main agenda especially for the OIC countries. The halal industry promote export and Malaysia trade agenda domestically. It foster SME and historically marginalized community. Strategically, it enhances food security and economic resilience under the 12th Malaysia Plan. The halal industry has been identified as a high impact industry to boost economic growth. The total contribution of the halal industry to GDP in 2019 was 7.6%, valued at 115 billion. In order to position Malaysia as a global halal hub, the 12th Malaysia Plan has identified various funding initiatives, such as a dedicated fund for halal exporter, a syndicated Islamic fund, and digital advisory platform will be established to provide a financial solution for local and international companies. Malaysia has a competitive advantage to become a leader in the global halal industry. Malaysia, MIDA, for instance, has selected the halal industry as a key engine of growth, with its contribution to the national gross domestic product expected to increase from the current rate of almost 2% to 5.8% by 2020. Islamic finance, Malaysia is a global leader in Islamic finance. The halal SME should take advantage for this strength. If you look at the performance of Islamic finance, assets continue to support the halal economy, with assets estimated to have reached 2.7 trillion and potentially reach close to 400 trillion in 2024. Islamic finance has been identified one of the key enablers to support the implementation of the 12th Malaysia Plan through the innovation and promotion of hybrid Islamic financing structure. In promoting Islamic finance for the halal industry, JAKIM in its 2020 halal certification guidelines strongly encourage all the certified halal companies to use Islamic finance in all their business transactions. Strengthening the Malaysia halal market with Islamic finance can support Malaysia to maintain its position as a global leader. Other than banking institution, there is a non-banking institution where we call it alternative finance that potentially SME halal can raise fund to support their business. So, for instance, like the equity crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending. Even Securities Commission has launched a Sharia screening assessment toolkit for unlisted micro and small medium enterprise as part of its initiative to provide a guidance in screening the Sharia status for unlisted micro, small, medium enterprise. So if you look at the equity crowdfunding, in terms of the investors majority or below the age of 35, and 52% of the investment came from the retail sector. So this is a potential investor when you take equity crowdfunding as one of your option in raising your fund. We'll see that some of the agri industry also leverage Islamic equity crowdfunding to raise their fund. This is another one, the P2P, the peer-to-peer financing. If you look at the supply chain finance, for instance, in Malaysia, they leverage the P2P platform. If according to the survey by the ICC, the International Organization on the Trade Finance, supply chain finance is one of the faster growing trade finance product and is responsible for most market growth. Incumbent and disruptor who have succeeded in this market have done so with material technology investment and has allowed the product to work at scale with some of the world's largest supply chains. So this is another option that the SME halal need to consider to explore in raising their fund. And then another topic that I would like to highlight here on the integrating the environmental, social, and governance into halal business. This is another angle that has to pay attention seriously due to the growing demand, especially from institutional investors and the international business community. ICC again in their survey found that 73% of banks in Asia Pacific region who responded to their survey has developed a sustainability strategy applicable to trade finance and supply chain finance. There is a strong agreement that the environment and climate change should be prioritized with the majority of banks already integrating sustainability risk into credit risk management procedure for client and conducting sustainability related due diligence. In Malaysia, if you are aware that the Bank Negara through the value-based intimidation, meaning all the Islamic bank already integrate the ESG factors in their business activities. Okay, this figure highlight the extent to which a supply chain impact the environment compared to direct operation to add to the complexity of a supply chain that are heavily interdependent. As such, the relationship between product and services and ESG risk factors are intertwined across a sector and throughout every level of the supply chain. Adopting sustainability practice is imperative to ensure the longevity of business. For example, Malaysia top halal export markets, China, Singapore, and Japan are signatory to the net zero target, and non-sustainability practice will lead to the increased cost of business exporting to this market. Even in addition, more multinational companies are embracing the sustainability agenda, compelling halal SMEs to factor in sustainability as part of their business strategy, operation, and decision making. It is heartening that prominent halal MNC manufacturers have already started imposing sustainable practice across their supply chain. So my last topic on the digital economy, where there are tremendous opportunity that halal business can reap post-pandemic, especially if you look at the data, look at the performance of e-commerce. Malaysia e-commerce income by establishment recorded by 279 billion, a jump of 70.1% year-on-year in the third quarter of 2021. In terms of quarter-on-quarter growth, it maintained a positive trend with 4.3% from January to September. So e-commerce revenue total close to 800 billion, a 23.1% increase year-on-year. In terms of usage of information ICT, in 2020, a percentage for individual using the computer was close to 80%, and the internet was 89.6%. Another data, I think, from the World Bank, another interesting finding for the World Bank report is that the increased usage of digital platform emerged as the most popular strategy being implemented by firms in response to the COVID-19 shock. 58% of the firms surveyed increased the use of digital platform in January to February 2021. The most common use of the digital platform continue to be for customer-facing functions such as marketing and sales function. Shopee and Facebook are the most popular sales and marketing digital platform, while Maybank and Touch 'n Go are the most popular e-wallet payment system. So this is something that the SME need to take advantage. Look at the financial inclusion metric in terms of the performance. Malaysia score close more than 85% in terms of the financial inclusion according to the World Bank FinTech. You can download our report. We have the detail about this. And then finally, based on our last year report, we identified 9 major fintech trends in 2019. This is where the Islamic, the halal SME need to take advantage. Like I mentioned earlier, close to the 338 million youth in OIC countries. So there's a potential your customer, which adopting the technology is a must to stay relevant. Additionally, if you look at the several Malaysian Islamic bank already offer online marketplace or also leverage this technology to have a specific initiative to support the halal industry. So as a conclusion, there are 3 key areas that we want to highlight: embrace the digital economy, leveraging Islamic finance, and integrating ESG compliance. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hafiz. Next, let's hear from Ms. Irrnanie Aripin, Deputy Director of Food Technology and Resource-Based Industry Division of MIDA, who will be sharing with us on strengthening the agri, food and halal ecosystem, incentives and government initiatives by MIDA. Please welcome Ms. Irrnanie.
Good morning. Thank you, Yan, for the warm introductions. Basically, my presentation today will cover the macro perspective of the food manufacturing industries in Malaysia. We will also touch on the available incentive offering for the subsectors and also the facilitations provided by the government to support the growth of the industry. Okay, I will quickly go on the functions of MIDA. As a government principal agencies for the promotions of the manufacturing and services sector in Malaysia, we provide a wide range of services covering from end to end, from assisting companies who have intention to invest in the country, as well as providing facilitations for them for their project implementations. MIDA also evaluates applications for the manufacturing license, tax incentive, and also expatriate posts for both manufacturing and the services sector. We also have in MIDA a dedicated division who handles variations types of application that we receive. For example, for expatriate posts, we have a dedicated divisions who handles the industry talent management and expatriate posts, who facilitate investors' human capital needs, as well as providing dedicated assistance to the investors. We also have a tariff sessions who evaluate applications for import duty exemptions and sales tax. And in terms of compliance, we have the investment compliance division, which monitor the compliance of licensings and also the tax incentive. MIDA also work closely with the relevant authority at both the federal and state level, such as the utility and the telecommunications provider, custom, and also environmental agencies. Next. Okay, as you can see from the slides over here, this is an overview of the food manufacturing industries in Malaysia. I would say that it is one of the fast-growing sector with the large export potentials. So far, we have more than 8,000 establishments, whereby 80% of these establishments are being dominated by SMEs, whereby the balance will be from the mid-tier company and also MNCs. So from the slide here, I would say that we have quite complete ecosystems covering all the 3 segmentations or activities. As you can see from the green columns, it's for the upstream activities, where the government is focusing on the agriculture activities of cultivations of our fruits and vegetables. We also for the breeding activities of livestock and also aquaculture. This is in line with the national aspirations to ensure that we have a sufficient food supply in the country, and also to reduce our dependency on the imported foods. Moving forward to the blue columns for activities, mid-tier and downstream activities. Malaysia is promoting productions of high value added product that can be used across multiple sectors, such as the food ingredients, flavors, additive, and also the plant extract. And this ecosystem is fully supported and regulated by other ministries, such as the Ministry of Health. We have the MAFI, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Industry, Halal, HDC and JAKIM for the Halal, and also the R&D organizations such as MARDI and also UPM. Next. Under the Industrial Coordination Act 1975, the government is aiming to maintain an orderly development and growth of the country manufacturing sector. So here, companies who are undertaking manufacturing activities with a shareholders fund more than 2.5 million or employing 75 workers, or full-time paid employees are required to apply for the manufacturing license. And for those companies who are not meet the thresholds for the license, you may apply for the exemption letter from manufacturing license. We call it ICA 10. And this application can be submitted online through investmalaysia.mida.gov.my. Next. Okay, moving forward to the major tax incentive that we are offering. This is for a company investing in the manufacturing sectors. There are two types of incentive, the pioneer status and also the investment tax allowance. Pioneer status is basically an incentive in the form of exemptions, income tax exemptions, ranging from 70% to 100% of exemptions, depending on your activities, and company entitled for the incentive for a period of either 5 years or 10 years. Besides pioneer status, as an alternative, company may also apply for the investment tax allowance. For company granted investment tax allowance, is entitled to an allowance ranging from 60% to 100% on your qualifying capex, your factory, plant, machinery or other equipment used for the approved project. This capex is to be incurred within 5 to 10 years. Besides the normal pioneer status and also ITA, we also have the halal incentive under MIDA. Halal incentive under MIDA is basically to encourage the new investment in halal food productions and to increase the use of modern and state-of-the-art machineries and equipment in producing the high value added quality products for halal that is comply with the international standards. This incentive is ITA of 100% qualifying capex incurred for a period of 5 years, and this can be offset against 100% of your statutory income. Next, please. Okay, this is the promoted product for the small scale company. The incentive that offered by the government are based on the targeted sector. As projected, the government will encourage potential and existing investor to explore and venture into the above listed activities and products. And these promoted activities and product may be considered for the tax incentive that I have highlighted earlier. Next. Okay, same goes here. This is the list for our general list, the promoted products. Next, please. Okay, in terms of funding, we in the This is the Industry Forward Intervention Fund. It was launched by the government in the budget 2019. And this this grant is basically in the form of financial support facilities that we provide for Malaysian SMEs in the manufacturing and related services sector to embrace on the Industry 4.0. This fund is eligible for all SMEs which have completed your government-funded Industry Forward Readiness Assessment Program, whereby MITI has appointed MIDA as the implementation agency for this Industry Forward Intervention Fund. So this fund is basically this fund is basically a matching grant, 70-30, whereby 70% will be funded by the government and 30% will be borne by the companies. And it is based on your eligible expenditure up to a maximum of 500,000. Besides that, after you've been approved for the grant, company will receive a 30% upfront payment. This is for company to kickstart the project. Next, please. Besides the intervention fund, we also have the automation capital allowance. The ACA is initially introduced in the national budget 2015 with our intentions to encourage the automation in the manufacturing sector. And this incentive not only urge manufacturing companies to engage in the innovations and productive activities, but also to help our local industry player to increase their efficiencies and productivities. So for ACA, existing company which already in operation for at least 36 months and fulfill the criteria such as by having a valid business license and also a manufacturing license, and incurred expenditure in relation to the automations of your machinery and equipment that are directly used in the manufacturing activities, company are entitled to apply for this ACA. Next. For ACA, there are the category is divided into two. We have category 1 for the labor intensive industry, such as the rubber industry, plastic, wood, furniture, textile products, and category 2 will be focused mainly on the other industry. As I highlighted here, the food industry falls under category 2. For the labor intensive industry, the government is providing an ACA of 200% on the first 4 million expenditure incurred within 5 years of assessment from 2015 to 2023. And for the others industry, the ACA is also 200%. However, it's only for the first 2 million expenditure incurred for the 5 years of assessment, same 2015 until 2023. And this application for automation capital allowance is it will be a jointly evaluations by MIDA and Seri, whereby MIDA will look into the non-technical part, whereby Seri will go to the company to check on the technicality of the machines. Next. In MIDA, we closely track and the implementations and the approved investment project through our newly established unit known as PACU, Project Accelerations and Coordinations Unit, whereby this unit is to strengthen MIDA's role in handholding potential investors and also our existing investors in the country. So PACU will basically work as a dashboard to monitor and track the progress of the approved project. Secondly, to identify and facilitate any issues and challenges faced by the companies. And thirdly, we will collaborate and engagements with all stakeholders in the federal and state level in order to improve the investment facilitations and our delivery services. Next, I believe that is all from us from MIDA, and feel free to get in touch with us, or you may contact us directly, Food Technology Divisions in MIDA HQ KL, or also you may engage with our colleague in MIDA Penang. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Irrnanie. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jayaraman Subramanian, Manager of E-Commerce Department Digital Adoption Ecosystem Division of MDEC, will present to us on Halal cross-border e-commerce, vast opportunities in the United Kingdom and Indonesia. Over to you, Mr. Jaya.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning. As was introduced by our sweet MC, I'm Jayaraman Subramanian from MDEC. I'm going to give a short overview about Halal cross-border to UK and also to Indonesia. Right, I hope you can see my slide. All right, basically, just want to touch base, going to go through the overview about the cross-border e-commerce, some components of export to Indonesia, and the third component will be export to UK, and also what's the next plan that you need to do, right? So let's look into the first one, the overview of this project. This cross-border halal e-commerce is actually a partnership with E-Jasmine Sundaram Berhad and also Halal Street UK to enable export of halal products to Indonesia and also UK. Right? This partnership comprises of onboarding of Malaysian businesses and also the demand generation campaign of Malaysian halal products to Indonesia and also to UK. All right, so we're just now talking about generation of campaign. We actually, for Indonesia, we just last week, we actually have Nusantara 11/11 sales, and for UK, we'll actually have Winter Carnival sales, which will go through in detail. So this partnership will actually give new market access to Malaysian businesses for those who are actually attending this webinar. If you are a what you call that product owner or you're a manufacturer, I think you need to come on board on this so that you can actually tap into the Indonesia and also UK e-market, e-commerce market. All right. So let's go to a little bit more about what is this export to UK, which, as mentioned, we are actually partnering with E-Jasmine. Just want to give some perspective. You guys know Indonesia is, we have 273 million of population, of which close to 90% of the populations are actually Muslim population. So therefore, there's a demand for halal product. They source for a lot of halal product from Malaysia and also from other countries. So we need to leverage on that. On top of that, their e-commerce ARPU is 1,132 ringgit, which gives a potential market value of 271 billion. So we need to leverage on this big pie that we have, so that we can also be relevant in this e-commerce market to support the digital economy for the country, right? Next one is actually, as mentioned, we're leveraging on E-Jasmine. E-Jasmine is actually Malaysian-owned key marketplaces located in Kuala Lumpur. It is a B2C and also B2B international e-marketplaces, focuses on local market and also ASEAN country, especially to Indonesia and Philippines, and serving more than 6,700 SKUs to about 1,220 registered buyers, and has more than 420 merchants, and that's counting definitely after the launch last week that we had. The numbers is actually increasing tremendously, and you're also serving 15 countries. To be specific, they're actually serving to 18 countries. Right? They also have their own logistic unit, which is called EJ Express, and working with DHL, GDEX, and CityLink, and Speed Cargo Logistic and Jayaraman. Right? For Indonesia, they were actually leveraging on the Speed Cargo Logistic provider. Right? And they also will help merchants, onboard merchants, to advertise at their social medias, their Twitters, TikTok, Instagram, and so Facebook, right? For this initiative, we're also partnering with supporting partners like Matrix, Halal Development Corporation, the Cosmetic Association, InvestPenang, and also Kepera, right? So this is the overview about the great opportunity that we have in Indonesia that I would encourage that all the participants here, if you are a brand owner or you're a manufacturer, please come on board. Next one is actually the products they're looking at, okay? This is the focus on these 6 product categories: beauty products, fashion, snacks, toys, kinksters, and also mood products. All right. So these are the benefits just provided by E-Jasmine. They give free registration and onboarding. they give free facility to use their distribution center in Jakarta. At the same time, they also provide for international product pickups and also door-to-door services. And they give free promotional on the social media with limited time. And they also have free advertisement editing. And they also give halal certification through grant from government agencies. And their shipping cost is relatively competitive. And they also provide online training and technical assistance to onboarded merchants. And lastly, their commission fee is 8% only for B2C. Right, so this is something that we need to leverage on. Next one is actually talking about the eligibility criteria. Who can actually come on board? Simple. This is very simple. Individuals or registered businesses, as long as the product is Malaysian made or Malaysian origin from Malaysia. Right. So this is the what you call it, the registration link. Maybe you can just pause for a few seconds here. You click on this and you can actually come on board. Register to on board to sell to Indonesia via e-Jasmine platform, right? So this is Indonesia. Second one is UK. Let's go to, okay, before that, this is just want to share with you guys the launch event I mentioned just now, where we actually has this launch event of Nusantara 11/11 sales and e-Jasmine virtual mall. Where it was graced by our YB, Dato Henry Sam Agong, who is our Ministry of Transport. He actually graced the event, and this is the event also where MDEC actually enters in a partnership agreement with e-Jasmine Berhad, right? So this is, Nusantara is just one of the initial campaign that we're doing. More campaign will actually come in association with MDEC and also e-Jasmine Berhad. Right. All right. Next country that we're going is export to UK. We are going through this with Halal Street UK. We actually have Simon here later on, who's going to speak more about the what you call this, about themselves. But let me just give an overview of what he's going to speak later. We're going to leverage on Winter Carnival, which is going to take place from 13 until 31st December. So Winter Carnival is actually like a shopping, grand shopping festival where they usually do at the beginning. Normally it starts end of November, it will end until mid of January the subsequent year, basically to welcome the Christmas celebration and also New Year celebration, right? So this one, UK, as you guys know, 66.65 million population, of which 3.5 million are Muslim population, and we have about 75,000 Malaysians residing in UK, and they also have very high e-commerce ARPU, which is 8,404 ringgit, which gives a potential market value of 29 billion ringgit. So this is another market that we should not miss, right? So yeah, as I mentioned, we're leveraging on Halal Street UK. They are actually a B2B and also B2C e-marketplace focused on UK, Euro market, also cater for Muslim community and Malaysians who are residing in UK. Actually, not only Muslim community, they also focus on non-Muslim population who are actually residing there. The British people who are really have enjoyed the food of Malaysia, they actually want to look for Malaysian products, right? And also not only limiting to Malaysian, also Singaporeans, Indonesian, and also Bruneian who are actually residing in UK. This is also another good market segment that we are targeting through this Halal Street. Halal Street has more than 850 merchants on board, which is more than 2,500 SKUs, and also 15,000 customer base. For Winter Carnival celebration, this will be promoted at this portal, omalaysia.com, which is actually a portal about food and culture. Okay, in order for people to buy the product, they need to know the culture, you need to know the food that we're going to talk about, right? So this omalaysia.com will actually give all the information about the culture of Malaysia, you know, the food about Malaysia, so that they can actually buy through Halal Street. And of course, Halal Street also going to work together with some Asian supermarket channels there, and so do some festivals and also some kiosks that we're going to establish in there, right? So for this, we are working together with our partners, Matrix, Halal Development Corporation, the Cosmetic Associations, InvestPenang, and also Kepera, right? So how we go about this onboarding, the product they're looking for, 6 categories. First is beauty product, Muslimah fashions, sweets, children Islamic books, baby products, and also Malaysian food, right? So for you to come on board, the benefits is the onboarding fee is claimable under MDEC SME automation grant. Per merchants, they can actually sell 10 SKUs, and they have a free delivery from merchants to customers, and they also give search engine optimization. They also provide free copywriting services and also packaging services, and of course, they also provide online training and also technical assistance. All right, so let's look into the criteria. The merchants need to have registered business, ROB or ROC, and they need to register with SSM with more than 6 months. And 60% of the enterprise or business must be owned by Malaysians, and they need to have 2 months of bank statement with at least 4,200 ringgit debit transaction, and also its local products. Right. So for those who want to onboard, please register your interest here at this particular website. Please, I'll just hold on for 1 to 2 seconds here. Please scan your QR code here, and you can actually go and register there. All right. Just want to share also, Halal Street also share with us some great stories they actually achieved during the London Carnival, London Food Fair, which is held in September, which actually shows a very great impact for demand for Malaysian products, which is most of the product which actually sold out within 1 or 2 days of the expo or the carnival. So this shows actually a great what do you call that demand for Malaysian product in UK. Right. For this winter carnival, MDEC is actually providing funding for by giving them shopping vouchers, so that it will actually entice the demand for Malaysian products among the buyers in UK. Right. So yeah, that's about it I have today. I leave this to our Madam MC. Thank you very much, guys. If there's any question, we can pick it up towards the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jaya. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we have entered to our panel session entitled Beyond COVID-19, Growing the Future of Agri-tech, Food and Halal Industries, Insights from Industry Leaders. I would like to invite Ms. Smita, Senior Economist of World Bank, to take over the panel session and also the Q&A session. Over to you, Ms. Smita.
Thank you very much, Jan. I'd like to invite all my We have a very distinguished set of panelists and lots to learn from them. The stage has been set very nicely from our previous presentations. And Jan has also introduced the panelists. So I'd like to maybe go straight into the panel discussions so that we can hear more from the panelists and both about their journey as well as some of the lessons that they have learned. So I'm going to start in terms of the organization of the panel sessions, we're going to have 2 rounds of questions and answers. And after which we hope that we can be joined also by presenters earlier and have questions from the audience to both the panelists as well as the presenters. So with that, I will start with Mr. Chinnababu from ENZA. We understand, looking at your company profile, that R&D actually does play a pretty heavy role. So would you be able to share briefly your business journey in Malaysia for ENZA Zaden? And has R&D direction shifted in the past 2 years because of the pandemic? Over to you, Chinna.
Yeah. Greetings and warm wishes to all dignitaries and participants, and thank you, Smita, for the question. If I give you a short introduction on ENZA Zaden, ENZA Zaden is an international vegetable breeding company. The headquarters are in Netherlands. So we have 80 years of experience in producing very high quality seeds to the agricultural industry. And this company is a family-based company, and then more than 2,000 employees are working over the world, actually. And then in Southeast Asia, our activities started in 2015, around 2015, mid of 2015, and the actual research activities started from 2016, because 2015 our establishments has taken place. And Penang is our central hub for Southeast Asia. We work for 13 countries from Penang to import and export the seeds. And R&D is in Perak. It is exactly in the south location. We have our own land of more than 20 hectare land where our state-of-the-art research facilities are present. And then we work both with the high-value vegetables like lettuce and then highland tomatoes and all the things. And also we have lowland varieties which are adapted to the lowland cultivation throughout Southeast Asia. And very proud to say that we have our phytopathology lab, technically a very higher end, and which is accredited by biosecurity to import any disease samples for the diagnosis in Malaysia from all over the countries in Asia. So this is the journey which is going from 2016 onwards. Our main focus is on research activities and knowing the market, and then developing our products, and everything was going very well. But even though the business was satisfactory, the journey was a bit difficult in the last 2 years. As a vegetable seed company, we are one of the input sector as seeds in agriculture. The demand for seed has reduced a bit, actually. This is mainly a disruption in the food supply chains and logistics and regulations. There is also a less demand for specialty products due to impact on tourism. When a lot of people coming from Western countries, there is always a specialized products demands will be there, and then seed demand will be there. So these are the main two things we faced challenge in the last 2 years. And the main direction of R&D has not much changed, as research demands are same, and there is no change in the product models significantly. But the main change is how we do the things to accomplish the research objectives. To make it more understandable, as a research group, we need to travel throughout Southeast Asia to check our varieties, how they are performing, trials management, and then taking the data. And then there's a lot of things to do in research. And at this moment, we cannot travel. And then there's a big impact on accomplishing the realistic data on the research activity. And also the advanced planning and the faster adoption to new ways of working a bit of helped us in working to lead us to cope up with the pandemic situations. I mean to say that we immediately adopted to the new technology like drone technology, and also camera system and communication systems. And also we brought a lot of R&D technology, how to bring the samples, and working with the government to make it more easy in the logistics. This has helped a lot in managing the pandemic situations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ina, and that was very informative, and thank you also for covering both your overview as well as the question in the time allocated. Simon, we have heard a lot about Halal Street and also from Jaya. So it would be great to learn more from you on how the Halal Street UK, how did you find your new markets overseas and what was the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic? Can you share with us a journey since the inception and some broad lessons learned and the challenges you have faced along this journey? Over to you, Simon.
Yes, hi. I hope you can hear me. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. And it's really nice to see Dato, Haji, Abdul, Halim again. We had met earlier in London at one point. Right. So Halal Street is really the product of many years of research. I've lived in the UK now for about collectively 18 years. And we noticed that there was a market, generally the Muslim market, which is 5% of the UK, not having enough halal products. They didn't have a unified place. And products were coming and going. There was no focus on it, and none of the high street stores were doing it. So we set up Halal Street, But what we didn't realize was halal is not vanilla. Halal is not vanilla, which means vanilla in Shanghai and vanilla in America probably tastes similar, but halal is not, in the sense that halal is a standard. It is not just a food. So the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis would have a completely different type of halal food from Malaysian halal food. To say the halal sector is global does not, halal is not vanilla. You got to look at the intricacies of each market, and that's what we've done. And we've realized halal, Malaysia is recognized as a major producer of halal products. In fact, one of the great Malaysian products here is a Penang product, which is lingam chili sauce. Strangely enough, available in the tiniest of supermarkets. I live in a little market village. Now, going forward, we're not looking just at halal products introducing halal, but Malaysian products in the UK. And we found a much more interesting market there, which is now 100% of the market. So halal is not, and I've been trying to say this for a long time, halal is not just about for the Muslim market. It is becoming a high street standard. And as it is in Malaysia, and it opens up the entire market, but we need awareness. We really need awareness of the product. And that's what Halal Street is doing, taking Malaysian manufacturers, bringing Malaysian businesses, telling them the regulations they need, showing them what they need to do, helping them do it. For instance, putting a nutritional product, putting allergy statements. We show them how to do all this, and then we take them over there and we find them a market. So in a nutshell, this is what Halal Street is doing. Thank you.
Simon, and would you like to elaborate on any other challenges that you faced, particularly during the pandemic at this stage?
Well, absolutely. The pandemic has turned the world inside out, but the UK is returning to normal very quickly. One of the things is that e-commerce has become critical, but it's really hard to introduce a Malaysian food like kaya or rendang over e-commerce. So it has to be a blend of digital and physical. We cannot just say e-commerce has got all these sales. It's great in a market where people understand it. It's great. But in a new market, there's everything to win, but you've got to look at other successes like the Koreans, like the Thais, like the Vietnamese, and see how they've made it. And we're literally following. So COVID has not actually produced challenges. The challenge is how to take advantage of a market that's coming to us now. It's kind of a reverse challenge. Thanks, MIDA.
That's a very good point. It's a market that's coming to us. That's very well put. Thank you so much. Kylie, could I come to you next in terms of your journey, the company's business, the business journey of Golden Fresh? What has been some of the pivots that you've had to make in terms of both products and markets in the past couple of years?
Thanks, Nita, for the question, and InvestPenang for having me. I think in the interest of time, I'll just give a snap overview of the pivots the company has taken in its entire history, and then give a bit more time to talk about recent years. So our parent company, Butterworth Iceworks, was established in 1965 and started out as No Surprises and Ice Factory. We then progressed into cold storage and eventually moved into some basic processing of seafood, specifically the peeling and some cooking of shrimp. 1989 is when the move to Golden Fresh happened. And this is where we started the value adding that we continue to do today. This is the breading, battering, coating, and significantly expanding the material base offering. This has been our bread and butter for the last 30 odd years. So what we've seen in the last few years is a growing trend in healthier eating and a sustainable conscious mindset, mostly driven by the millennials' push for wanting to make an impact and to make a positive change. As such, we too have had to shift accordingly, looking into glazes, marinades, sauce products that are less processed per se, and more nutritional focused. Shazana, if you can bring up the first slide. Yeah. So one of which is the prawn in Thai coconut sauce that won us the award for convenience at the largest global seafood trade show held in Brussels in 2019, the last before COVID struck. And in terms of sustainability, next slide, please. We were actually the first in Southeast Asia to attain the MSC certification, which stands for Marine Stewardship Council Chain of Custody. That is to say, with this label you see on the box here, signifies that each step of the supply chain is not only traceable, but has been audited in order to meet the required standards, and gives assurance to the consumers that they are buying a sustainable product. And even more recently, we had COVID come about. And I wouldn't say this next point is a pivot, as we are still very much focused on seafood, but see that there are still plenty of opportunities for growth. During COVID, we saw the likes of Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat really take off with their meat alternatives. It would seem that COVID had only exacerbated the earlier trends of healthier eating and sustainability. Thus was born Pacific Greens to cater for this, a brand for our plant-based range. Next slide, please. These are the first few products out in supermarkets across Malaysia. If you hit there, you may find an assortment of choice in this category now. But for the record, we were the first in Malaysia to produce a plant-based seafood analog with our fishless fingers, currently available in supermarkets, e-commerce platforms, and as well as IKEA. And the following slide just gives you an idea of what we're working on for our overseas customers, a dusted enoki mushroom and an edamame burger. So not only do we use plant-based ingredients, but even the oil and packaging material incorporated are all sustainably certified in order to create a wholly green product. Well, it's only the beginning of this new venture, but we see many possibilities and hope you'll be able to see them come to fruition soon. Back to you, Smita.
Thanks very much, Kylie. This is really interesting. Very informative, I have to say, especially the fishless fingers. Vincent, over to you. What, in your view, so Vitrox has had an exciting year in 2020 with the group having ventured into precision smart farming. Could you share with us some highlights of this journey and how the company ventured into this new area, and what are the efforts that you have put into this new venture? Over to you, Vincent.
Thank you, Smita. Let me get started with it. I will quickly go through an introduction of myself. I am Vincent, and I'm from this new company in Malaysia, a very, very dedicated company to agriculture in Malaysia. We are called Vitrox Agri-tech Syndrome. You can see a very young, and actually we are full-heartedly supporting the agriculture, and everything about us is about agriculture. And I'm from the background of engineering, and we are looking forward to incorporate technologies into agriculture. For the next slide, please. So I will quickly go through our visions with you. How we came about is this Vitrox Campus 2 in Batu Kawan. It's a new company area. They needed to plant a few acres of grass to get the factory certified, right? As open for the occupancy. And what we did instead of grass is we planted a lot of plants, and from there we delved into this agriculture. And thereon we found so many problems in the agriculture industry, and from here we set our visions to solve all these problems. So the first one being the high labor dependency, and also even if the farmers are doing their job well done, the weathers will often come into play and actually destroy everything. So unreliable use and the weather impacts, especially with the climate change nowadays, it's getting hotter and hotter. The plants are not doing well currently. And we also aim to solve the issue of excessive pesticide. And our efforts so far we have put into the agriculture sector is by doing all these solutions, we strive to enable this production of healthy, sustainable, and most importantly is affordable food supplies to everybody. And in a short word is to mean we are producing more organic things. We did not use pesticides and even chemical fertilizers to produce the food supplies. And we intend to do it very cost effectively. For the next slide. So nothing much have changed all over the decades since our independence even. The way the farmers are doing their farming work. So currently, our team is very dedicated to bring data and sciences and actually a lot of machineries and mechanisms as well to support the labor dependencies issue that we have. So you can see in this slide, we have a lot of like data and we are actually looking a lot into biologies and chemicals of everything while still maintaining the genuinely produced organic products. Yeah, coming up next, the next slide. So with this integration of technologies, there's a lot of effort in balancing the costs and the efficiency and also the quality of the agri-tech products. So this is very difficult. That's why over the decades, very less innovations and also the technology adoption in the market. And it has to comes from a high sense of smart innovations. And our teams are expanding to near to 20%. And we really come up with a lot of ideas and a lot of solutions, potential solutions to produce very cheap and organic produce and vegetables. So after talking to like near to 300 farmers ourselves, we felt the problems, and actually we feel we can understand more deeply the problems by doing it ourselves. And so right now we are going for the next phases to do the farms ourselves for 16 acres. And today we are very close and our progresses in innovation is hastened and enhanced tremendously by doing it ourselves a lot. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vincent. We'd love to hear more about this journey. In the next round, given the importance of resiliency. China, if I can go back to you, and you mentioned that one of the critical challenges that you faced was not being able to move around and do the testing, especially with R&D. How do you see any strategic focus changing going forward to ensure that the sector is more resilient in future pandemics, given what you've learned from this one?
Thank you very much, Smita, for the question. Actually, as I said earlier, the consumer preferences has not changed and the R&D objectives has not changed. But the main focus is mainly on how we operate and how we can grow. These are the main two things which is coming in the strategy actually. If I talk about how we operate, it is mainly related with the people and employees. At the moment, because of the pandemic situations or maybe future pandemic situations, it is employees and people well-being and their sustainability is most important because we need to energize them mentally to work remotely. And then the cautions what organization has to take care because to maintain their health, that is most important. In agriculture, as I said, we cannot work in the we need to work in a very remote areas where they have to meet the people to understand them, the products, what is coming up, high yielding varieties, specialty products and all these things. In this case, in pandemic situation, it is very difficult, and how we operate is one of our strategy. And the next thing is connections and cooperation. How we can make the more connections between the people all over the world, not only in Malaysia, from Malaysia to other 13 countries. Here, how we are using the technology efficiently to empower and to empower our employees. It is most important to get maximum cooperation, and decision making in time is most important. For example, if I'll say that how we can connect with the customer, because the customers are distributors, dealers, everyone has to know what product is coming and how it is performing. And for this one, we need to conduct a lot of live demos using the technology, and then we have to hear from them and then show the things to them, and from the remote areas, internet facilities and all these things are most important. So in this way, we are also working in this background, information technology, with the new varieties coming from R&D, and then connections and cooperation. This is again one of the operative method we are working. Coming to the growing part, it is most important we closely work with regulatory departments, because seed is a live material. When we import or export between countries, country to country, vegetable to vegetable, product to product, regulations are changing. And during pandemic situation, a lot of countries' borders were closed, not importing the materials or not exporting the materials, a lot of regulations, and it needs a lot of work to work with the government organizations, and people are not in offices again. So this is one of the biggest challenge for us to make more better supply chain management. Actually, it is mainly to ensure that high quality vegetable seeds are available to the growers, and ultimately, if the seeds are not available to the growers, ultimately during this pandemic situation, the vegetables, and particularly the healthy vegetables, are not available to the nations. That indirectly gives a very big difficulty for the food security. So we need to balance there very much, looking into the supply chain management and regulations management. This is what we think that how we can grow is mainly managing this one. So I can say in short, this is our future strategic thinking to overcome the pandemics. Thank you.
Thank you, China. That's very clear and very relevant, because in an industry like this, supply chain management and logistics is critical. Simon, just going back to you, I was wondering, do you see any strategic thrusts? You did mention that there is a difference in terms of the consumers, but for your company, do you see any strategic thrusts going forward for the industry and for the platform in particular over the next in the short term?
As for strategic thrusts, absolutely. Over the next couple of years, we are going to be developing the awareness, interest, and desire for Malaysia and Malaysian products, and not just the UK, but Europe. Some of our strategic thrusts, and if I could ask the slides to, could we switch to the next slide, please? And the next one, keep going. Next one, please. And the next. Yeah, you can stop here. So these are generally our strategic thrusts. I thought I'll save some time. How different is an e-commerce company anywhere in the world? What people don't realize is very often e-commerce companies are bound by regional requirements, and the vendors within a region and the consumers within the same region. But when you're doing cross-border e-commerce, it takes on a completely different form. If you want to introduce something like rendang to the UK market, you've got to first figure out a way to explain it to them, and then allow them to try it, and then make it available to them. So this is where we're strategically leveraging food groups and culture groups in the UK, and we've observed what as I mentioned earlier, the Koreans did and the Vietnamese did, and they've created this whole thing about not just introducing their food, but their culture, and people get closer to it. And then you get the first a group of target audience that's converted, and they take other people and they go in. So All Malaysia is our new main thrust over the next few years. We'll be having cultural events, food events, and these are physical. So we're turning something digital into something physical in order to take them back to the digital to ensure continuation. We had a really interesting story at a food festival, and we offered them some Malaysian food at this food festival, and they tested it, and they said, they said, what is it? It was called krepek. It's called krepek basah. And krepek basah is crisp. Well, the English translation is crisp. They ate it, they go, oh, it's not crispy, but it's not. Then I said, no, it's actually sweet, spicy, and it's chewy. They tried it again and they bought 3 packets. Description is another critical thing from a cultural environment. And this is where we come back again to All Malaysia. So All Malaysia becomes the spearheading thrust to introduce Malaysia and Malaysian food, especially halal food, to the high street market. And this is followed up with Halal Street, which is bolted on to All Malaysia as the online shop. So basically, All Malaysia is our main thrust over the next couple of years. Does that answer it?
Yes, thanks very much, Suresh. It does, Simon. It does. And in fact, it's a pretty long. It's not an easy. It's not an easy thrust, right?
Oh, it's absolutely exciting because yes. we're learning what people want, and it's a big challenge. It's a big mountain to climb, and I want to do it. I want to introduce Malaysia.
Yeah, no, it's great, and you're taking Malaysia to the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So I think there'll be lots more. I hope there'll be lots more questions from the audience on this exciting journey of yours. I have a few, but I'm going to hope that the audience comes in here. Kylie, basically, you told us a lot about what Golden Fresh is thinking in terms of consumer preferences. And could you just tell us a little more about what are the implications for the use of technology as well as logistics supply chain for the sector and for your business in particular in the next few years?
Yeah, I think there are a few parts to your question, so I'm going to try to separate it into 2. In terms of logistics, I think everyone is aware of the ongoing issues. I've had websites tell me things are going to be delayed even before making any purchases. It's a global phenomenon that every industry is facing. Combining COVID, trade imbalances between the giants, US and China, port closures from positive cases, and on top of everything, we had the blockage in Suez Canal that had a severe domino effect. For us, we were fortunate enough not to endure any shortages in material. However, just comparing current versus pre-COVID times, we've experienced a 700 to 800% increase in freight rates. This has, of course, hit us hard, and the worry is not knowing when or if it will recover to previous levels. The shipping carriers, on the other hand, with their pockets heavy, being at the advantage, have moved from just sea freight delivery to a multimodal service, this being a combination of sea, land, and air logistics. For example, Maersk recently purchased an air freight company in Europe, and CMA just launched their air freight services 2 months ago. So we see from this that the winners continue to win and get even bigger. Aside from the issues mainly triggered by the pandemic, the industry now faces the challenge of achieving carbon net zero, as all businesses will need to in time. Currently, they are exploring the use of LNG, ammonia, etc., to replace fuel oil. We see that this may impact prices, but have no guideline yet on percentages. I hope this gives people an idea, though I know it only scratches the surface. But as for technology, it's probably nothing no one has not heard of yet, but we know automation is the way forward. I think COVID has only reinforced this point when labor was or still is in dire shortage. To paint a picture of how far we've come, in the 80s, we had about 600 workers producing 1,000 tons a year. Now we have 80% of the headcount producing 12 times of that output. First, we'll be looking at upgrading our warehouse management system, implementing a QR code for inventory tracking and tracing. This also speaks to the new generation of consumers where traceability is important, knowing the origin, catch area down to fishing method. More and more, we see transparency being demanded, and this in turn forces the industry to do better. And on the production line itself, we have custom-made graders, sophisticated rotary packing machinery, and exploring the use of robotic arms. However, at the end of the day, our business still deals with a natural product. Every fish is different. And so we do expect a hybrid model of labor with the help of automation to be in place. As for the wider industry, apart from plant-based analogs, we see cell-based seafood coming into the picture. These are products which have been grown from the cells of an existing animal. However, now the animal does not need to be harmed in the process, as science has enabled us to replicate the cells to produce a product just like the real thing. I think the technology here still needs time to develop. We really are only at the beginning stages, and I think it will be a while before we see it reaching a feasible scale and gaining acceptance. There are still concerns and resistance of it being genetically modified, but who knows? A teenager today might think nothing of a headless chicken or a chicken with 4 feet. Back to you.
Thanks, Kylie. Yes, technology is moving so fast that we don't know what our kids and grandkids are going to be seeing, right? Very hard to predict. What is certain is the unpredictability of technology. Thanks very much. Vincent, we heard about your exciting year this year in 2020. What is the vision for the company in the next few years, and how do you aim to bring this vision to fruition with the use of technology for the sector?
So I will explain on our coming vision, and it's actually a lot related to what Kylie just said just now. A lot of unpredictable stuff, including we are also looking at cell cultured things, and actually we include so many kinds of microorganisms and fungi and everything in our plantings. I will explain right now because this is our coming vision. We will be focusing on solving this puzzle of actually leveling up our agriculture industries and the performances. But we know this puzzle, this very difficult puzzle actually takes a very, very multifaceted effort. So many multidisciplinary people will have to come in all together, because being a farmer is really not easy. They have to handle the biological part. They have to even handle marketing, how every cost makes sense or not. And to the point of plant pathology, which all the pests and disease, they have to control it very, very well. Like every day, it's my mantra to go into all the plants and to look at every single plant myself. And we actually tag every plant with their own names, and even previously we used QR code. Maybe upcoming we will be using RFIDs, and all these things when we will have a very, very good team and very good solutions coming up when we can afford to allow multidisciplinary people, engineers, biologists, plant scientists. We have a broad array of people working together to tackle this problem. And this is included in our coming vision. And if you don't mind, can you share a little bit on my graph, my slides? Yeah. The screen sharing, did you have it, or did I pin your page? Never mind, it's okay. Yeah, the screen sharing, yeah, on the part of my slide. I have something to show everybody on what we intend to create in the coming times. So we are also at the very early phases of creation of actually very advanced pest and disease detection system, which means at a very early stage, we can detect the arrival of this pest and disease. And we do a lot of labor intensive works by automations, maybe the next few slides. Yeah, next 1 or 2 slides. Sorry. Yeah, this is one of our PhD students that came in, and he's like a plant scientist. We are taking our care down to the cell level, and this is a map. Yeah, the slide. Maybe my line is not good. I'm very sorry for the lack of the time synchronization. Yeah, so we intend to go for large acreage. In terms of our vision, we want by probably 5 years time, we try to be the anchor company for around 2,000 acres, with each of these clusters comprising of maybe 50 to 200 acres, depending on the suitability of the area. And with us, we will be providing all these autonomous tractors and implements that are more advanced than the typical one, and will do our job with the heights of maybe 500% of labor efficiencies when we are doing all this work. So also regarding the point of net carbon zero, the more we expanding our farm clusters and farming concepts, because we know a lot of scientists all over the world, they have pointed out that good and sustainable agricultural practices can actually reverse the climate change, not only for a carbon net zero. We really are taking our own data as well to support this, and we see very, very bright and a very good chance that doing agriculture in the right way is going to reverse climate change. It's very, very carbon negative. We are bringing out the carbons and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and locking it into the ground. The more fertile ground we have better food, and also we are locking in so much of the pollutants and also the hot weather into the ground. And it's really happy to know that the team in Vitrox Agri-tech is on the spot on path, and to help to fight the earth climate change every single day. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, Vincent. This is you certainly have a very exciting vision ahead, and lots of exciting more journeys coming your way. We have a couple of questions, and the first question is for MIDA. So I could ask Ms. Irrnanie to answer the question. It is, what is the eligibility criteria for the intervention fund? And maybe if I could add another point to that, and what is the criteria for the automation machine and equipment in the automation capital allowance?
Thank you, Smita. As for the intervention fund, it is open for those manufacturing companies, SMEs companies. SMEs meaning the sales turnover is from 300,000 to not more than 50 million, or you are employing numbers of employees around 5 and not more to 200 employees. Secondly, company need to be in operation for at least 3 years in the current business line, and having a valid business license together with the manufacturing license. And the most important thing is that company need to complete the government funded intervention fund readiness assessment and receive a report from the Malaysia Productivity Corporation's MPC. That is for the intervention fund. As for your next question, the automation capital allowance, we are looking at the automation machines and equipment that are used directly in the manufacturing activities. Second is the automations machine and equipment that could enhance the productivities of the company, such as the reduce of man hours, increase the volume of output, reduce the foreign workers, and also reducing the rejection rate for the companies in their productions. Third, I would say that the company need to adopt the technology which is more advanced from the current machine that they are using. Something new, something that is upgrade from these current machines. And lastly, I think that the machine that they purchase must be at least running for 1 month for the data, for the data capturing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Irrnanie. So the next question is for MDEC, for Jaya. Besides Indonesia and the UK, is MDEC focusing on any other countries for cross-border e-commerce?
Nice, Mita. Right, allow me to answer that. All right, yeah, besides Indonesia and UK, MDEC is, since day one, we've been onboarding merchants to sell to other countries. So specifically, this year, we actually onboarded merchants to sell to China, Taiwan, Middle East countries, and also Asian countries also during our Asia online sales this year. And of course, MDEC going to leverage on eJasmine platform to onboard merchants to sell not only to Indonesia, to also to other Asian countries under eJasmine platform. Right. So that's the short answer I have. If I can add also, Smita, if I'm allowed, just now one of our speaker, Ahmad Hafiz from World Bank mentioned about the what do you call it, the government under Rancangan Malaysia ke-12, 12th Nation Plan. They actually mentioned about halal industry when identified as one of the biggest sector to drive the economy, right? So I think it is very relevant now for all the audience out there, the manufacturers, the food producers, even brand owners, to come on board this now, so that they can see the fruit as they go along the path, especially when it comes to export, because we need to establish now. We must start working now so that we can run much faster later on. Right? Just want to add on that. Thank you.
That's a very, very valid point. This is early stages, but very important to be able to catch the wave in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we have maybe a few more minutes. So I'd like to ask our panelists one last question in terms of what is the one thing that, in terms of leveraging public policy around this area, what would be the one possibly the most important thing that they see in terms of leveraging public-private dialogue in this particular area? So let me start with Jinnah.
Yeah, to me, it is mainly the regulations. The regulations are most important because we all work with agriculture, means live organisms. When we are working with live organisms, I feel that the biosecurity department is also one of the main department which are connected with customs and all the things. So how we can bring them into our picture again to align better alignment for the policy making during these difficult situations, how we can make it more feasible to support the business growth of the companies. That is most important, what I feel. Yeah.
Thank you, Jinnah.
Thank you.
Very valid point. Simon, what about you?
I believe Malaysia has come up with their trade blueprint recently, and there are a number of strategic thrusts that are brilliant. I think from a value perspective, we've got a game plan. The gap analysis has been sorted out, but I think at the tactical level of actually implementing these plans that are set, designed in ivory towers, is critical, because you rely on people on the ground, and they need to understand exactly how to deliver these tactical plans. For instance, we've got an e-commerce plan coming up under the National Trade Blueprint. And we've seen other programs, the efficiency needs to be there by the people understanding what the value system is all about, first of all. So I'm just hoping, having great plans is one thing, but implementing them is a completely different thing.
Great point. Implementation is key, definitely. Kylie, what about you?
I think it's a very similar situation to Choon, and just reiterating on his point. In the seafood industry, we deal with many government officials and parties. And so we only hope for better alignment between the private and public sector in order to propel the nation's economy, benefiting both parties. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kylie. And Vincent?
Yes, very much agree to the previous panelists. And I would like to add on, I think there is a huge gap of understanding between farmers, the public sector, personnel, people, and also students. If we were to increase the agricultural development, we have to deeply enhance and tie them deeply and create a lot more bridges, a lot opportunities for all these different stakeholders to get in touch with one another, and more conversations and more sessions like this should be encouraged. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. This is hopefully one of many more such engagements between public and the private sector. I'd really like to take the opportunity to also invite Dato Abdul to please, if you'd like to say a few words in terms of what you've heard from our panelists. Over to you.
Yeah, I followed. Thank you, Smita, and thank you, Simon. Yeah, we met in London before, and I think it's timely now that the greater coordination, collaboration between the public, private has lacked in some ways, in some areas, and we have MDEC here, we have MIDA. I think greater collaboration. I raised in the budget 2022 with Dato Muhammad in his roadshow to all the states that recently we have ITMDT, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand growth triangle. I think where 11 more states added to the Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand growth triangle, and where the JBC Joint Business Council. I think I told Dato Muhammad that we need to work on comparative advantage, with the opening up of the market under the RCEP, the regional collaborative economic partnership, market access. Are we ready? We open our market is bigger. Are we ready for that? And Simon also, when we went to London, the issue mentioned that we do have all these event yearly on Halal, on Malaysian trade expo held in London, held in Europe. But then after that, it just like disappeared. You all came, and after that, gone. There's no like follow up. Who's continuing effort? Whereas our, for example, Halal trademark or Halal, Malaysia has been the leading on Halal. So here today, post COVID-19, I think it's about time that we have to accelerate our effort. Kylie mentioned on coordination. I think we work together, federal and state agencies, together work on the competitive advantage. The public-private initiative has to be there. Leadership, I think at our state level, we are ready to to listen, accommodate, and make a decisive decision to accelerate this, especially on the Agri-tech and the Halal initiative. So with that, I thank very much for all the speakers that give enlighten us with what we can do more, and to position Penang, Malaysia, back to where it should be especially on the tech. Now we are going to do agro and the halal industries. So thank you very much again. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Dato Abdul Halim. I think this has been a very nice session, but too short a time to discuss some very important things. I hope this is one of many such interactions. There have been some really great, I personally learned a lot, really great initiatives on the public sector and great stories from the private sector on what exciting things are in store for us going forward, but what COVID has taught us in terms of using this as an opportunity to actually leverage on some of this technology to use the comparative advantage that Malaysia has and bring it to the world stage. And very important would be how do you use the opening up of markets, the new trade agreements, but also digitizing the small and medium enterprises and smallholder farmers to make sure that they all reap the benefits of these. So thank you again to InvestPenang MDEC. And with this, I hand it over to our MC for today. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Smita, maybe Dato, Dato Seri, all the panelists and speakers for the informative session. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we have come to the end of this program, and we hope you had a great time and lots of takeaway from today's session. A big thank you goes out to Penang State EXCO Office for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneur Development, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, all our speakers and panelists for making this session a possible and success. For your information, the recording of this insightful webinar will be shared and posted on InvestPenang's website and social media, Facebook and LinkedIn for your future viewing. Please do follow InvestPenang's Facebook and LinkedIn for more events and programs to come. To all our participants, thank you for taking your time from your busy schedules to tune in with us. We look forward to having you again in our future events. Wishing all of you a pleasant day. Stay safe and thank you. Bye all.
See you all again. Okay, Simon, are you in KL or Penang? Simon?
I'm in London.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. It's so near now. It's with the digital so near now. Okay. So thanks, Vincent. Vincent, okay. All the young guys and all that, And Jayaraman, we'll see each other.
Dato. Thank you very much for having us here.
Kylie, Smita.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Moderator for that. Okay, thanks everybody. Irrnanie, MIDA. Good. So we'll follow up after this, definitely. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks for your participation again.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dato.
Thanks, InvestPenang.
Thank you all.
All right. See you all.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a
thank
good
you all.
weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.